Hello everyone, so one of the things I've been wanting to do for quite a long time is to get this London Midland Class 170 Turbostar apart, revamp it, give it a huge makeover, but up until now I kind of lacked either the confidence with soldering to be able to muddle around with all the wiring, or the knowledge with DCC. One of the things you might notice about this, look at the greens between these two trains. This one is closer to the real thing, I think Bachmann got it right the second time. They're both Bachmann models, but I think this one, the green is way too light, especially when I compare this to photos. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to repaint this while I've got the body off to mess around with the electronics. So that's one of the things we're going to do on the outside. One of the things we're going to be doing in this, with this cab front, is I'm going to be installing new lights which fit behind the light cluster part there. Also a marker light at the top, which will go there. A DCC chip which will power the train. So that's basically what we're going to be doing. It's quite a large project. To begin with, I'm going to show you how to get one of these power cars apart. Firstly, you're going to want precision screwdriver set. Now this is essential for any kind of, let's get our 350 out of the way. This is essential for any kind of, whoa, don't, okay, it's fine. It can stay there. Let's start with our smallest kind. There are two screws on this underbody. One right behind the plough plate here, whatever that is. And another right at the back near the rear vestibule. Pop them out, make sure you don't lose them. And then I think what we do is we just pry off and it very simply unfolds like that. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that obviously the shell is attached and there's a little plug here that's sort of been a bit twisted around, so let's maybe try and untwist this because this doesn't look terribly healthy. There we go, and we'll just unplug it. So there we go. At least that separates out the motor stuff, the interior of the car. This controls the light, so at least you have your light feeds here, you know what controls the light. For now, I'm going to leave this and come back to it another time, and I will update you when I've got more to show you.
So I went away and repainted the green on this. What I used was this Tester's gloss green colour, which just happened to be the perfect colour for London Midland. This now matches my Class 350 very, very nicely. So as you might remember, the green colour was actually closer to that on the original Bachmann model. So as you can see now, it's much closer to the correct colour. And also it adds a little bit of a gloss sheen to it, which makes it look like the real thing, which I quite like. The car body as well. So there's the cab piece, and then there's the car body, which I had to paint as well. And that meant I had to mask off this orange line. Oh goodness, I forgot to remove. So as it happens, I actually forgot to remove that little piece of masking tape that was over the hazard sign just above the door there. That's a nice little piece of detail I didn't want to lose. But everything else I masked off very carefully. This lighter green stripe, which actually matches up fairly well, as you can see, and on the other side too. Just about preserved it. Obviously the black was easier to do because I have that, I mean, that's just standard black, but I didn't have something which matched this colour of green, so I wanted to be very careful about that. I also removed the front glazing to do all of this area here, and I just had to be very careful about going around the light clusters there. But I think this one looks very nice now. I'm still waiting for the lighting kit to arrive, so when that arrives, we'll be able to get on with the electronics side of things.
Okay, so here is the completed project. I've now had time to reassemble the cars and complete everything. So let me just give you a quick rundown of what I did. So on the outside, you can see I've changed the green. So on the inside, what I did, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what I did because, frankly, for a model that is this current, I don't think I should have had to do quite as much as this. But it's nice to have this as a working part of my collection now. This is a model from about 2001, I think, was when Bachmann released their first Class 170. Since then, it's been reissued in a number of much more recent liveries, including London Midland. They've done Southwest Trains. But in any case, they haven't really changed the insides at all, and they haven't updated it so that it's DCC ready. This is the case with a lot of their DMUs. The Virgin Cross Country Voyager, the 220s and 221s are famously still not DCC ready, I think. So what I had to do was basically strip out all of the inside wiring and completely replace the lights and hardwire DCC, and this was a job I knew I had coming because I wanted to get some practice on some easier locomotives first. That's why I did my Walthers F40s, that's why I did the Southern Pacific E8. So those were all practice for this one, because I knew this one was going to be more complicated. So, since the cars, they don't connect electronically at the back at all, there's no power going between the two cars, you have to have a chip in each car, which is adds to the price of it, which is irritating. Although if you have a 3-car version of this, you have to have 3 chips, because you have to have one in each end for the lights, and the central car actually has the motor. The lights are also, you can DCC these without replacing the lights, but the lights are not very bright and they are incandescent bulbs which might burn out at some point. So I decided that while I was doing all of this, I might as well just go the full way and get the Express Models lighting kit, which I ordered from them, from their online store. They are really good guys. They actually hand make all of their kits, I think. Judging by what I received, it looked very, very nicely done. It's pretty easy to install. You just have to be fairly able to follow instructions and be careful with how you solder things, and you'll be fine. So what did I have to do? How big of a job was it? Well, I'm going to put a few pictures up on the screen as I explain this, so you see what it is I did. Firstly, you've got to get the existing lighting housing out. Those incorporate little metal boxes that basically sit right behind here, and light piping which goes all the way around. There's not a light directly behind there, it's actually coming through a piece of glazing which is behind all of the lighter pieces. Cosmetically, you've got to be very careful to retain all of the glazing that goes inside these parts, and that involves breaking off just the little pips that slot into the light holes, and then you've got to make sure you put those back in exactly where they went. So you've got to be very careful not to lose any parts. Same with this little top piece here. So once that's all gone, you can begin figuring out your wiring. This is the dummy car, so that means there's no motor to handle. I'll explain this one first so it's easier. That just means all you need is wires that go into the pickups on the track. The red and black just feed into the red and black in the decoder, and then what comes out of the decoder is the white, yellow and blue, or otherwise known as the common positive. So if you know something about DCC wiring for lights, you'll know that the white is generally the forwards headlights, the yellow is generally the reversing headlights, and the blue common positive is what you connect all of those when they come back to the decoder. It's a pretty simple circuit really, but you can get more elaborate with it if you include purple and green wires as well. Now, that's the other thing. Because this had day and night lighting, I ended up using the purple and green wires to wire up extra lights, and that's how you control them separately. Okay, so that's the dummy one. Once those are all soldered up, it's just a matter of like blue tacking, hiding all of the circuitry inside the roof here. There's a little bit visible through the window here, but since it's a dimmed window, I figure it didn't matter too much, and I don't have interior light. This is the powered one, which looks pretty much exactly the same, except for the fact that it's heavier, which you can't really tell. The only difference with this is that all the lighting works the same, except that you've got to then connect up the orange and grey wires which go to the motor. It's a little bit trickier in this one because there's quite a large box or something sitting over the truck here, which means there's slightly less room to play with. But basically, you've got a board that sits right behind the lights here, it's cut just perfectly so that it fits in this particular model. That's why the Express models lighting kits are so good, is because they're custom made to fit behind these. I literally just slotted it in and held it in place with some blue tack and then reassembled the whole car. So that's all I had to do. So let's get it on the track and I can show you the lighting effects. Okay, so here is my Class 170 sitting right next to my Class 350, which you know I already have. I've shown you the lighting effects on this already. It's got directional lighting, as you can see. Euston is on the lighting board there. That's got directional headlights, as I've just changed it there. You've got red lights going backwards, and white lights and a top marker light up there when it's going forwards. Pretty simple setup. So here's the regular forward headlights. As you can see, it's just these two headlights on this side, there's one on that side which is actually slightly yellow, I don't know if you can tell, and this top marker light are working. When you go backwards, it looks like that, and then you have these central two headlights working, and so the opposite is happening at the other end of the train, which you can't see. When you want to add night lighting, what you do is you press function 1, and that adds this extra bright headlight at this side, and actually again, though you can't tell, it adds this headlight too. If you were to turn the normal headlights off, you see what you have is basically the opposite of the normal headlights. So if I turn function 1 off, there's normal headlights on function 0. You can tell the difference. Basically what it does, it just makes sure all of that cluster is lit at the same time. So there you go, that's the lot that's all lit at the same time. That's basically your lighting. Now the nice thing is actually that there's a small amount of light bleed from the top marker light that actually illuminates the cab slightly, so I wonder about maybe putting a train driver in there, just because it would look quite nice actually. Especially next to the Class 350, which also has cab lighting and full interior lighting. I don't think I'm going to get to do full interior lighting on this Class 170 though. I think it's had enough messing around inside it. I'm perfectly happy with it as it is at the moment. I'm just so glad to add it to my collection. So let's run it around and have some fun with it.